Hmm. Welcome, Exiles. So, a couple of days ago, I dropped that video about farming maps, and immediately as it went live, my brain went, yeah, this isn't a cheat. The strategy works, don't get me wrong, but it didn't meet the standard I actually want to deliver to you. And honestly, we can do better. So, let's run it back. How to farm maps, plus a couple of tips and tricks what to do with it. So for this run, I'm farming 8 modded Sepulchre maps, because they fit my gold farming strategy perfectly. If you need some other layout, no problem, just swap your favorite maps to whatever you want. The skeleton of the strategy stays exactly the same. On the Atlas tree, I grabbed everything that gave me a chance to drop maps one tier higher. Super important. Those nodes basically triple the amount of maps you will see. I also like my Kalguran encounters with Crimson and Bismuth infusion, because, well, it's basically free juice. And I threw in the nodes that give a chance for originator maps and the memory thread chance too, because that's basically 4 originator maps being delivered to your doors. You can then roll them for more maps modifier. And I put 2 points to increase the chance they will lead to Incarnation of Dread, because Echo of Reverence fragments are the most valuable one. For the Scarabs, I am running Cartography Scarab of Escalation and Cartography of Corruption. Then Kalguran Scarab of Guarded Riches and 2 base Kalgurans. On the map device, I am using Settlers, and for influence, I am running Exarch for potential map dupe altars. And yes, I am still mapping in Sepulchre. I like this map. Fight me. It's compact, clean, and you can sniff out the Bismuth monolith in like 4 seconds. And after 10 maps, the result were honestly good. And I still made a $500,000 gold on the side, so hey, that's bonus. But maybe you don't want to run Sepulchre. Maybe you don't need corrupted maps. Maybe you want something that isn't shaped like bowl of spaghetti someone dropped down the stairs. Easy fix. Let's switch to Dunes and swap corruption for monsters lineage. And you are good. Do you need influenced map? So swap monsters lineage for influenced Scarab of Conversion. And let's try running Mesa. Want to Delirium maps? Replace Conversion with a Delirium Scarab of Delusion and test out City Square.
Just one more for my collection.
Want them corrupted and 8 modded? So put corruption Scarab back in and check how it goes in Jungle Valley. Want to sneak in extra gold? So slaughter Horn Scarab of Glittering. And Toxic Sewer isn't a bad layout either. See, it's like Lego. Mix and match whatever you like.
Let's get it done. Cover me.
And now we get to the fun part. What to do with the stupid amount of maps you are going to generate. Only a small chunk of them will be maps you want to run. Everything else you want solved or handed to King's Marsh mappers. And King's Marsh mappers, let's just say they don't work for exposure. They want good maps, and if you want good returns, 8 modded corrupted is a bare minimum I'll send their way. I personally farm 8 modded Delirium maps for them. They can handle it fine, and with Delirium they bring back splinters and clusters, which is basically free bonus money for you. And I even tweaked my loot filter so I can see good cluster bases at a glance and leave the trash on the floor. Now about asynchronous trade. Most people just dump everything into Faustus and go back to blasting. But when you are farming for real, you realize the problem fast. I have over 600 T16 maps in my stash. I'm not clicking that. I don't have space for it. And even if I do, the idea of having to change the price would wake me up from my dreams with horror. So here is the trick. Right click the T16 icon. Bulk price everything at like 1 divided by 30 of 1 divine. Then right click Sepulchre or any other map button and cancel the listing so your personal maps stay untouched. Done. Anytime your stash hits 30 maps of a layout you don't want, they get auto-listed as a divine priced bundle. People snap up good layouts almost instantly. But you also have the cursed layouts, the layouts no one wants. The why do these even exist layouts. For those, I grabbed a handful of Vaal orbs, corrupt them and fish for Vaal temple maps. Those are super sellable and usually move in 6 to 8 for a divine. Honestly, sometimes I think about trying a Vaal temple strat, but that's a later problem. And here is another trick. Now that we are talking about Vaal orbs. At some point in the league, I stopped caring about the cost of input and started caring only about the potential output. So instead of running ordinary 8 modded maps, I run A modded chiseled maps. Easy to do. Make them rare, chisel them, wall them. Most will just become corrupted rares, which is fine because I have a strat for those. But some turn into full 8 modded 20 quality maps. And those let me run Chiseled Perfection on Atlas 3 for an extra 12% map mod effect. And that number is way more important than it looks.
Ah, there you are. The more you kill, the more you change.
Which brings us to the last little lesson. The one that makes people question their sanity. Why 1% item quantity can sometimes feel like someone flipped the loot switch from fountain to drizzle. You've definitely felt this. You open a map, everything explodes like a piñata stuffed with currency. You are feeling immortal. And then, the very next map, with the same setup, feels like the game is handing out drops with tweezer. And you are checking your Atlas suite, your Scarabs, your socks, anything, trying to figure out what you accidentally changed. It wasn't a bad luck, it wasn't a bug, it was breakpoints.
Good job, Exile.
Here is one important thing about PoE. Almost every monster in this game is just a modified version of a one single base monster. And that base guy has one crucial stat. Item drop slot equals 1. That means it makes one roll with roughly 8% chance to drop anything. Magic monsters multiply that by 600%. So now they roll 7 times, rare 15, uniques 29.5, which of course gets rounded down to 29, because you can't roll half a loot. And after that comes all other multipliers like area level, monster type, monster mods, haunted mods, delirium bonuses, harvester reductions, a whole alphabet soup of stuff you never see but definitely feel. And then, all of that gets multiplied by your map quantity and rounded down to the whole number. And that rounding is the silent kill. That's why a white mob might roll for loot 2 times in one map, or 3 times in another, or 4 times in the lucky one. And the difference can come from 1% quantity on your map. Hit the breakpoint, shower of loot, miss it by a sliver, suddenly it feels like someone robbed the monsters before you enter. Nobody outside GGG truly knows the whole formula. And honestly, I'm not pretending I do. But based on available info and a healthy dose of common sense, the big breakpoints seems to float around 100, 150 and 200% of your final map quantity. This is the number you'll see on your screen inside the map. Once you get a feel for it, it becomes way easier to understand why your run suddenly feels cracked or cursed. Or hey, you can also just not worry about it. Sometimes you are lucky, and sometimes you are not so lucky. That's PoE. And that's it, the upgraded, polished, and way more complete version of the map farming guide. More maps, more value, smoother selling, fewer clicks, and way less frustrations. So thanks for watching, Exiles, good luck out there, and may all your junk maps turn into wow temples.